All right, so iPhone 16e. There's been a lot of questioning, a lot of controversy, a lot of who is this device for around the internet. And I think I figured out not just who it's for, but who's going to be buying this. And I also think I understand what Apple's trying to do here. We're gonna get into that today. Before we do though, on this channel we talk about tech from an intentional living and minimalist perspective. We like tech that marries form and function. So if that sounds cool to you, please consider subscribing and like this video for more. Right, so for those of you who have just heard that Apple has released a new phone and you know nothing about it, let's dive into just the really base level specs and what all the iPhone 16e offers. So first things first, it comes in two colors, black and white. It's got a 6.1 inch Super Retina XDR OLED display, which looks great. The design is classic Apple, sleek aluminum frame, matte glass back. Under the hood, we've got the A18 chip, which is a fairly new chip, and it features the new Apple designed C1 modem for better 5G connectivity and improved battery efficiency. But there are some weird decisions here and we need to talk about them really quick. All right, so first thing is you'll notice just one camera, right? And I think this phone looks absolutely stunning. I think the one camera, this just is like wild, man. I remember back in the day, someone came out with a camera that had like 20 lenses on it so you could have different sort of focusing modes and stuff. And I've just never liked multiple cameras on the phone in terms of looks. However, I do enjoy having ultra wide, regular 48 megapixel camera and then a zoom lens as well. This looks so minimal, so sleek, so nice. And this white color is just absolutely stunning. You've got the matte glass on the back and then the aluminum frame. It's light to hold. You will notice that the bezels are quite a bit bigger than the iPhone 16 Pro. As to be expected, no dynamic island, just the notch. Face ID is on here though. You do get the action button, which is great. It's a nice feature for this SE, we'll call it E model. USB-C charging. But some weird things, they got rid of MagSafe. So there's not magnets here to hold like a wallet on here or hold it against a charger, which we'll get into that here in a second. And then the final thing I think which is driving people crazy is the price, right? Like this is supposed to be the budget, recommend it to anyone who's never had an iPhone before or who wants to get the cheapest version of iPhone, but it still is like the latest model that they've released. I think the last one was $429, the iPhone SE. It was in the 400s, and then before that, I think it was like $399 for the SE model. This is $599, so $600 for the cheapest iPhone that's out there. Now, you can blame that on inflation, blame it on whatever. I think the controversy going on around this phone right now is it's great, but people don't know if it matches the price tag that they've given this device. So Apple is touting 26 hours of video playback on this battery. So apparently the battery life is fantastic. I've heard others compare it to the iPhone 16 Pro Max battery life, which is insane. There's a million reviews out there on this phone and how maybe the price doesn't add up. Now, MKBHD and a few others I have heard say this might just be Apple's attempt to have someone walk into like a Verizon, for instance, see and say like, I want an iPhone, but I don't have a big budget. I want the cheapest one. And for the employee to say, okay, well, this is $600. If you paid a little bit more per month, you could go up to the 16 or the 16 Plus, or why not just get the iPhone 16 Pro? Apple's always had this really great way, marketing wise, business wise, of having stair steps where if I just paid a little bit more, I could get so much more out of that device. And at the end of the day, it's not that much more money. Now, to go from a $300 phone to a $700,000, $800,000 phone, that's a huge jump. But from $600 to $700, from $600 to $800, not as big. And you have to think about the average consumer, right? So my mom, when she needs to buy a new phone, she's going to walk into a Verizon and she's going to say those things. I want the cheapest iPhone, or I want these few features on my iPhone. And the sales rep there is going to say, great, this will cost you X number of dollars per month, right? And it might be $16 for this, it might be $17, whereas the iPhone 16 Pro might be $35, right? So you have to understand it's like a used car salesman or a car salesman trying to sell you the monthly price instead of the overall price of the device. So that's something that people, they're just still locked into these like 2-year contracts. It breaks it down monthly for them. It's nice and easy payment. And you can see how if someone walks into a Verizon, for instance, and says, I want the latest iPhone, but I want it to be the cheapest. This is pretty enticing. There's a lot going for this. Now, like I said, or the sales rep or the person who's buying the phone can say, well, if I only pay a little bit extra, I could get, which ultimately helps Apple's bottom line, right? Like people are paying more for the phone. So it's possible this is a play for Apple just to entice people to buy up. It's also possible Apple's trying to cut things away from phones here as like a real world test on, would people miss it if we took away MagSafe? Like what's the response gonna be from that? You also have to realize most people who are buying a phone, a budget phone, or any real iPhone, an average consumer is going to immediately slap a case on this. In fact, Verizon will probably try to sell them a case before they leave the store and a screen protector. So most cases will still have that magnetic ring to allow for that alignment of a charger or allow you to put like a MagSafe wallet on here. So the phone necessarily doesn't need the ring if you're going to the MagSafe capability if you're going to have a case on it, right? So the fact that this has an OLED screen, there's actually like a lot of really great stuff about this phone, and I think we're glancing over that because they have taken a few things away like MagSafe, or have only given us one camera here. And by the way, I've heard complaints about the type of camera, not the lens, but the sensor is smaller than in something like the iPhone 16, 16 Pro. I took a couple test shots here in my poorly lit studio. At least like this is like a great light, but I was shooting into the darkness and I zoomed in on both, and I honestly couldn't tell a difference. And if I'm being completely honest with you, there were a couple test shots where this actually looked better when I zoomed all the way in. So people were concerned that since it's not the same sensor, the images are gonna look more, poor in certain lighting and stuff like that, which I think is true, but like, this is like pixel peeping, a grandma taking pictures of their kid. Just honestly, it could be a potato. Like they just want the picture of the kid. I've also heard a lot of reviewers saying like, you can get the iPhone 15 Pro or the iPhone 15 or iPhone 14 Pro for less than this, equal to this, and still have great features like a faster refresh rate and stuff like that. But you have to think, the average consumer walking into a Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, whatever, is gonna say, I want the latest and greatest, but I don't wanna spend a lot of money. And there's plenty here to keep someone happy for 2 years, right? Until their contract runs out. Also, battery life has always been like, oh, I need to get a new phone, my battery just is terrible, right? Like batteries degrade over time, and packing a huge battery into this also checks the box for a lot of people. I want the latest phone from Apple, but I don't have a ton of money. And last time I had my phone, the battery was dying before I could even like go to sleep at night, so I want great battery life. I think I understand what Apple's trying to do here. I also think this is a great phone. I think this is the best looking iPhone money can buy right now. Truthfully, I like having multiple lenses, but this doesn't look super hot to me. This looks fantastic. I've seen videos of the black version of this, which also looks fantastic. You've got some added functionality here with the action button. So I know Apple's also trying to push Apple Intelligence. I wasn't even really gonna talk about it, but these phones have that on them. If Apple's marketing has caught you and you're an average consumer and you want Apple Intelligence, these phones have them on there, and you can even set it up so when you push this button here, which, wow, they set that to the flashlight. That is interesting. Wonder if that has to do with my settings though. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not sure. But Apple Intelligence is like first and foremost in Apple's mind right now. It doesn't work that well, but if that's something you need in a phone, there you go. I don't really know who this video is for. I think it's more for the tech community who's talking about this phone and what it means and who it's for. But if you're someone who's interested in potentially picking one of these up, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think if you're willing to buy like a used device on Amazon or a refurbished device on Amazon, or go into your Verizon store and ask if they have any old like iPhone 15, iPhone 14 Pro models, something like that. You're gonna get a similar price, and you will have some things that are greater. You will be missing out on this new modem, which who knows if that's gonna be anything special. Great battery life, things like that. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this review of the iPhone 16e. Interesting name. Check out some of the links in the description, and if you buy anything through those, it will definitely help out the channel, which helps make these videos possible. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. Like this video for more. Watch this video next. I think you're gonna love it, and we'll see you all in the next one.